Hey guys, today I want to talk about how I use the power of gratitude to help me heal and recover from generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, and health anxiety. It's a very, very important tool that I feel like most of us just push aside. We roll our eyes at it. And I get it. It's something that we've been told since we were little, right? We were half pints being told, be thankful for this, be thankful for that. And I think us taking that for granted, the things that we have in our life, starts at a very young age. And of course, this depends on how you grew up. Some of you didn't grow up with a lot, so gratitude probably was more of an importance in your life versus many of us that are watching right now that had a relatively good childhood and had a lot of blessings, and we kind of just get used to it and we take it for granted. So gratitude isn't as easy as it seems. It's still a tool that you have to practice and to be consistent at it for it to start yielding results in your personal recovery journey. So the first few years of my anxiety journey, I would get online, aside from Googling my symptoms and stuff, I would actually try to look up our articles and see if I could find some things that would help me with my anxiety that I could do from home. I wasn't actively going to therapy or doing coaching or anything like that. I wasn't even purchasing books. At this time, it was hard for me to even hold a job, so money was always tight. I didn't have insurance, so I had to do a lot of learning on my own, and ultimately I healed myself from anxiety disorder. So I would do a lot of research and stuff, and we hear a lot of the same basic things, which do work, by the way. They may seem watered down, but they do work, like exercise, eat healthy, meditate, practice being present, grounding. And then there's something called gratitude, and I think it might be one of the biggest eye rollers of them all. We just push it aside. We for various reasons, we take it for granted, or we feel like it can't be that easy. But the fact is that it's right there with you at all times. You can always pull that out, because we have trouble as anxiety sufferers not catastrophizing, spiraling, thinking we're the worst case scenario. Our general negative thinking, we struggle with being positive. And being a positive person, there's so many different components. It's not easy at all. I do think being thankful is a way in the door to opening up the possibilities of being an overall positive person. Hopefully you're following me with this. I think gratitude is the gateway to just overall positivity, because it's right there. We know, even if we get annoyed at the thought of this helping us with our anxiety, or just taking it for granted in general, we know how to be thankful. We know the things in our life that if they were taken away, we'd regret it. We'd want that back. Right? So those are the things that you need to be focusing on whenever you go through your gratitude progression. And we're going to talk about a few things that I did to practice gratitude every single day. But this next thing I want to do is tell a brief story on how I first stumbled across the power, anyways, of gratitude when it came to my anxiety journey. So it's probably 3 to 4 years into about 5 years of dealing with my anxiety disorders. Me and my wife went out of town, and we decided to go by Goodwill. We used to do this all the time to see what kind of deals and things that we could get. And we got a few things. I remember it being a horrific morning of anxiety, panic, symptoms. I think around this time, I was really worried that I had lymphoma, even though I'd gone to all the doctors, just like I'd done with all the other previous disease scares that I had with my health anxiety. And I would be told that I was fine. I'd get my testing. This is just anxiety, but still, I was just in this particular cycle. It was hard for me to accept. So really rough morning, a really rough drive to go out of town, about an hour. And we got to Goodwill, did our shopping, and we were about to check out. I remember just sitting there, just kind of like, I would feel on my lymph nodes a lot. So me having health anxiety and catastrophizing, I was like, lymph nodes, lymphoma? Okay, that's what I got. So I remember sitting there just kind of fiddling with myself over here, pushing, prodding, thinking about death, my funeral, my prognosis, I don't know, all those things that we think about as health anxiety sufferers. And some people came up behind us in line, and, not being nosy or anything, but, you just kind of, you want to be aware of what's going on. And I kind of out of my peripheral, I look over, and this woman had pushed up this younger female in a wheelchair. She had to have been around anywhere from like 17 to 20-ish or something like that. So a little bit younger than me at the time. And I believe she had something neurologically wrong with her, because she obviously couldn't walk and she could barely use her arms. But I remember kind of just glancing over, and she kind of waved at me and smiled. And I waved and I smiled back, and immediately, I'm not going to lie, there was some guilt involved. And sometimes that's the part that we struggle with when it comes to gratitude, because sometimes we feel guilty that we have all these things in our life and that things aren't, as bad as they could be, but we're still dealing with our negative mind and negative thinking. So I'm not going to lie, this first time, guilt is what kind of then led me to the gratitude. So I remember turning around and just feeling guilty, and then I started to have tears roll down my face. I quickly wiped them off. I didn't want to make a big deal out of this for anybody else anyways. And I remember thinking, my God, I've been worrying all morning about my health, everything that could be wrong with me, the possibility of me having cancer and all this stuff. And the doctors are telling me that I'm healthy, and this girl behind me, she really does have it rough. I don't know how long she is going to be. I don't know if she's alive today even, but she made an effort to wave at me the best way that she could and smile and to make a difference on my day. And she's not getting told that she's fine, and I am. And of course, whenever we have some of these thoughts, it can bring a little bit of guilt. I think it's that negative thinking in us. Instead of just being really thankful, the hint of guilt has to come up at first when you first start dabbling with gratitude. But then I just had this rush of euphoria and happiness and thankfulness. Like, I'm standing in line, she's sitting. I've got my hands, I can move them. She can't really do much. I'm getting told that I'm healthy, she's not. And I just had this sense of peace after. It was guilt, gratitude, then peace. And I was like, my God, if I can just hold on to this feeling, which we know how life goes. You're not going to be constantly just, always happy and euphoric and constantly thankful. We got to practice it. We got to try to get better at it. And that's the goal, right? But I stumbled across this and I was like, gosh, man, this is something. This is something. So I started using it. And then I started to get clever with it and started to, put it into different forms and do it different ways. And that's what we're going to talk about now. So now that I had an amazing experience with gratitude, I wanted to channel it, and I wanted to be able to be consistent with it and perfect it and replicate it, more consistently throughout my day, because when I felt that way in that moment, my symptoms went away. You know what I mean? And it was for the trip home and the rest of the day, it was wonderful. I was able to get my foot in the door of just general positivity, and then it was snowballed after that. I'm not saying everything was perfect, but I had this weapon against anxiety, and it was the power of gratitude. So, I started to look into gratitude affirmations, and there's so many different ways to practice gratitude. You can write down your gratitude affirmations. I would suggest having 25 to 50 just on hand. You can have a gratitude journal. Okay, you can use visualization whenever you go through your gratitude progression or you read your affirmations. Don't just read off your affirmations like, I am thankful for my wife. Why are you thankful for your wife, right? Why are you thankful for your husband or your kids or your car or a job? And visualize all the positive things about that thing that you're blessed with to have in your life, okay? Imagine your life. You can take a little twist. Some of you won't like this, but I would do this sometimes. I would be more aggressive sometimes with my gratitude. I would try to picture my life without that thing. And then it really made me feel even more thankful. So for those of you that have trouble being thankful, with everything going on in your life, imagine your life without this or with that person or without this thing or without that job, without your pillow, without your bed. You can break it down to a pencil or a pen. I mean, you can break this thing down, right? So use visualization to help you with your gratitude. And if you struggle with gratitude, try to imagine your life without that thing, and it'll become way more valuable to you. And you'll be like, it's like an eye opener, okay? So visualization, affirmations, imagine your life without that thing so you can be more thankful for it. And then a gratitude progression. You can write this down, or you can just kind of do it in your head whenever you're having symptoms or having a rough moment. I would go through this progression where it kind of started with me in this universe. There's basically a 0% chance that I'm here and that I exist. How crazy is that? I shouldn't even be here. Then you can take it further. At least I got to be a human. I could have been a tree. I could have been a rock. I could have been an ant. I could have been a cow being sent off or raised for slaughter. Could have been a fish. And then break it down, like even where you live. So many of you are blessed where you live. You know, you could have been in a way different environment, you know? So start with like your place in this universe. Like, you shouldn't even be here. I know for some of you that have anxiety, existential anxiety, maybe this is kind of scaring you or freaking you out, but I'm just going to be honest and tell you what I did. So I was so thankful. So even if it's rough, I get to be a human, and I wasn't even supposed to be here, and I get to make choices. I get to think for myself. I have my freedom. The doctors tell me I have my health. So yeah, I have some anxiety. I have some bad anxiety sometimes, but I've got all this. I'm breathing the air in my lungs, you know? And then I would take it to other things. And of course, my gratitude progression is going to go further. And my life is in a different place now than where it was then, you know? So my progression changes. I'm very thankful to be able to do this and help you guys. You know, I'm very thankful for my wife and now my 4 children. I'm thankful every morning I get up and I have air in my lungs. I'm thankful that I don't have a bad report with my health. Go through everything, your job, your career, your bed, your pillow, the roof over your head. So have a progression. And whenever you're more consistent with this, and the guys, I tell you, you need to do this in the morning, especially to start your day. Don't just leave it there. Do it in the evening. When you're at work and you're having a rough moment, gratitude is right there in your front pocket. Right there in your front pocket, ready to be used. Pull it out and use it. But I hope this meant something to you guys. If you're struggling with anxiety and you want recovery, there are resources. There's always going to be resources in my description and in the first pinned comment. There's a course down there that's been helping so many people. A lot of you guys have seen the reviews. Lead Anxiety Bootcamp. That's down there. Very affordable. Tons of videos and tons of downloadables, including things like gratitude affirmations, positive affirmations, daily routine. All that stuff is packed into that course. So try that out. Check it out. It's helping so many people. Don't miss out. My coaching information, if you're interested in one-on-one calls with me, is down there. There's options for online therapy. There are Facebook groups down there that you can join. Just tons of resources to help you out. I love you guys. If you're new here, please subscribe. Please share this with somebody that needs to hear it. Give this video a like if you got the value. And until next time, keep fighting.